Okay, everybody, I am so pleased to be here with each of you. Like, really, really happy to do so. And we're going to break this session up into a couple of segments. I'll have to put my clock here so I keep myself square. I have had a lot of questions, like a lot, about what is the right thing to do with placing people in your structures. And because those are questions that have a timeline on them, placements have to be done by a date. Then I do believe that it's appropriate for me to cover that ground, though this is a conversation specifically designed to help people understand how we can begin utilizing the AI tools as we start our business here together. And please, I want you all to know that there are no questions that are not okay to ask. I think that, let me just look, are questions enabled? Let me just open this up here. I'm going to put on captions and translations. And then I'm going to go over here. There we go. That's perfect. And then I am going to also I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And when I share my screen, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simply I'm going to go to Facebook. And when I go to Facebook, we'll take a look at my most recent posts. Right? And so here we have a post. And this post is, as you can probably tell, maybe you can, maybe you cannot, this is a post that is in Greek. My guess is that you're all aware that I don't speak Greek. And this is a post that is in German. And my guess is that you're all kind of aware that I don't speak German. And this is a post that is in Hindi. And I'm pretty sure you all know that I don't speak Hindi. And this is a post that is in Czech. And I'm really certain you all know that I don't speak Czech. And here, my hat's off to my friends in Israel. Sure, I was glad to see that you were here. And this is a post to that is in Hebrew for many friends there. So now what I want to do is show you the absolute simplicity with which I did that. I mean, it was like really, really easy. But before we do it, I want to talk about what is the purpose. And by the way, neither did I write the post. We're going to go and I'm going to show you in a moment. You say, well, Randy, I could copy and paste and I could do translations. Yeah, true enough. That's true. That's not what I did here. And I'll illustrate that for you in a couple of moments. So let's just stop this particular screen share. Hold on. I'm going to stop that screen share. But actually, I don't have to stop the screen share. I can just come in here and do another thing. So what I'm going to do now is here we are, and we are where? We are in MyAI Social. And just because I'm going to do this as well, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to log out. Okay. So when I log in, recognize I erased it. So if we want to log in to the tool suite, then the way to log into the tool suite is my.app.getlev.ai. And remember that we have two separate logins today, and that will remain true for some time. I'll show you some things that will change almost not overnight, but in a very short few days. Other things that will take some time. There will come a time in the not distant future, but that means a couple of months or maybe 3 months in the not distant future where we will only have one login, or at least we'll log into one site and we'll be able to simply toggle between the two sites without a separate login. Okay, that is not true today. And so today we have one login for our LEV AI back office and all the reports and functionalities, and we have another login for the tool suite. So here I am in the tool suite. And in the tool suite, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to operate on memory here and hope that I remember this. In the tool suite, I'm going to put in my login. And it is then going to ask me for my address, for my password. And we'll note that it goes right to it. So am I aware that there are people who are not having that experience right now? Of course, I'm aware of that. I think I have heard from each person who's not having that experience. And if I haven't heard from each person on a telephone call, then I've exchanged text messages with them. I believe that probably some of the information that I'm being given from the company is in error. I don't think that anybody's being dishonest. I think some of the information I'm being given is in error. The reason I think that is because I see the number of people who are asking me for help and clarification and logging. Identified number of accounts, 126 accounts in the world that have a certain issue that is causing them to not be able to log in, to not be able to go back and forth from site to site. That even though they put in the correct address and everything is correct, it just simply kicks them back to the back office site. That is the primary challenge that people have. Some people attempt to log in and it says this, the email and password is not recognized. That's a very few. In a larger number of cases, they're just looped back to the back office. Now, I have been told that that is an identified, quantified number of accounts in total that is either 126 or 129. That's a really small number, and that small number doesn't quite coincide with the number of people that I seem to be having contact me saying that there is an issue. So I don't believe for a second that anyone at the company is being dishonest. I think that there might be some incorrect reporting somewhere because I think the problem is bigger than that. But I do want you all to know that the problem is not a really big problem. Out of 42,000 accounts, or more than that now they're in our company, I'm really satisfied that the total number where this technical error exists and needs to be corrected, I'm completely satisfied that that is something measured in the maybe 200 or 300. And that is only because I'm getting too many messages to make me think that 126 is correct. Now, if you are one of the 126, or as I'm guessing, maybe some area reporting is 250, then it doesn't matter if there's only one. If you're the one, that it's frustrating, it's annoying, and I want you to know that I personally apologize for that. It's out of my control. I'm doing every single thing that I know how to do, and I'm trying to do things I don't know how to do to get across those bridges as fast as we possibly can. And I do want you to know that I have complete confidence in the LaCour Enterprises tech team's ability to address the challenges that exist. And I think in the next day or two, we will see the vast preponderance of them fade away. And by the way, the vast majority already have. Okay, so now I said that I would show you specifically and exactly how I did what I just did. So I logged into my back office, or I logged in, excuse me, into my tool suite, and then I came here to where it says write a social post. Now I'm hoping, maybe I'm guessing, but certainly I'm hoping that all of you who've had the opportunity to log in have already done this. But I'm recognizing that there are some who have not yet had an opportunity to log in because of what I just described. And probably there have been some who are just sort of frozen in their tracks, not quite knowing exactly what to do now, a little bit like a deer in the headlights. So here we go. We can see that when we go to MyAI Social, and I start here because this is something that not only can we all be doing right now, but we all should be doing right now. You've heard in my various presentations and conversations, my belief that we can grow one's future value in the marketplace by growing one's influence, and we can grow one's influence by doing what? By growing one's social media presence. And so we have a few opportunities. One opportunity is that we can simply let LEV AI do it entirely. And now what LEV AI will do is it will go to the very, very limited information that I have thus far loaded into it, and it will write a post. Now, when up there you see that picture beside me yesterday when I did this, I had some people, oh my gosh, Randy, it's the wrong picture. No, that picture is not going anywhere. Okay, we're just looking at it right now. That's not being posted anyplace. And so, I hate to admit this, but I spent about 3 hours trying to figure out how to change the picture. And then I finally figured out, no, that picture doesn't go anywhere. There might as well not be a picture there. It means nothing, okay? Absolutely nothing. And so now when I clicked Instant Post, what happened? It simply looked at the things that I wrote. And here I'll give you a couple of hints. One of the things that I wrote, it asked me, what are my favorite books? And I wrote The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I am very glad that I have not, that I've read The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, because it helps me understand exactly where I am right now. Malcolm Gladwell teaches in The Outliers that until we've invested 10,000 hours in any particular project, that we will not be a virtuoso, that we won't be really good at it. That is what LEV AI is all about. It is about granting people the opportunity to become effective, utilizing accessible AI without having to invest 10,000 hours. But that doesn't mean that we don't need to invest some hours. And so I've been investing as many hours as I can each day since Wednesday, trying to learn and understand, because I know that until I get a few blisters.
Recording.
Yeah, because I know that until I get a few blisters, I can't begin to have any calluses. And so I got a few blisters today trying to figure out how to change that picture before I figured out, no, the picture never changes. It's always going to be there. Okay, and so when I clicked Instant Post, it said, okay, Randy has read The Outliers. And so in that Instant Post, it just scanned and it made some reference to something that I have read. Feeling inspired by Malcolm Gladwell's insights, they remind me that sometimes the smallest habits can lead to the biggest breakthroughs in life. It's all about finding your edge and honing it. What small habit have you found that makes a big difference for you? Let's share our secrets. That's not bad. I mean, considering that I told it almost nothing, that's not bad. And by the way, I also want to note, when you look up there at the top, you can see that the F, Facebook, is highlighted. Okay, so I chose that. This will be a Facebook post.
What do you suppose would happen if I selected LinkedIn? LinkedIn does not allow as many words, does it? And so it would adapt itself to LinkedIn. It is smart technology. It will adapt itself to whatever is the social media platform you've told it will use. Now, I can tell you that once again, not immediately. It will be a little while, but the time will come when it will take only one click, and then automatically it will go to each of the social media platforms that you have highlighted, and it will on the fly adapt the X, the old Twitter. It will adapt the X to the Facebook to the LinkedIn, shortening, lengthening, making appropriate for each. Now that's kind of magic. That is maybe that simple thought is not more profound than fire, electricity, or anything we've done in the past, but it's pretty darn cool. And so when it's an instant post, what happens is your LEV AI solution takes a look at whatever you told it. Whatever you told it, it doesn't know anything about you that you didn't tell it. It takes a look at anything you told it, any information you gave it access to, and it then crafts a message. Now, I don't have any doubt that if all I did every day, first of all, as I continue to fill out the body of knowledge, right today, right now, as we speak, the total sum of knowledge that my LEV AI solution has, because I've provided it, is pretty limited. Over the course of the next 10 days, 2 weeks, I will spend just a little bit of time every day adding more content, adding more thoughts, refining my thoughts, seeing what LEV AI is saying, giving it different things to know. A few weeks from now, this will be really, really good. And I don't mind this. I would have no problem with that. That's perfectly fine with me. It will get better. And so now what do I do? What exactly do I do if I would like now to make that a social media post? Then what I do is I simply copy it. And you know what? And I will tell you all in advance that this works a whole lot better on desktop. You already know that. So now I copy it. And having copied it, what do I do? Having copied it, I simply go to my Facebook page, I click paste, and I post. Now, anybody could do that, but here's the next part that becomes a little bit more difficult. What if I wanted to do that same thing, but I wanted to begin growing my market outside of the United States? It's going to be really hard for me to grow my market outside of the United States if all I ever do is communicate in English. And so, what if, for example, I know that I have, for whatever reason, I have a desire to conduct business in Belarus. If I want to conduct business in Belarus, then just like that, I click Belarus and I click regenerate. And in just a moment, I now have that same content in the correct language. Now, that is cool, isn't it? That's like really, really cool. I do suggest that in each case, as you're first learning, that you always do the compliance check. In fact, I believe at the outset, it requires it of you. There is an opportunity to bypass that. But I think at the outset, we are required before making any posts to regenerate. Now, when I say required to, let's take that back. All I'm going to do right now is copy and paste. There will come a time in the not distant future when I'll push post here inside. And so this tells me very low risk. Now, that's really important for me to know because I didn't write it. Remember, that's not my content. Where did the content come from? Let's go back over there. I didn't even describe to you where the content comes from. And so let's get out of there and come back over here to where we are going to write a social post. Okay, that's because that was the instant post. That's why. Okay, now the instant post, I just showed you how eminently simple it is. Now, what is the quick post? The quick post is a little bit different. In the case of the quick post, you are giving it a little bit of thought. When you do the instant post, you're giving it no thought. You wake up every morning, you click instant post. And I mean, you're brushing your teeth, you're heading off to take the kids to school, you're going to the office, you're heading to the subway, whatever it is, you click instant post and bang, even though you've only got 5 minutes a day to do this, you just advance your cause. And when you click instant post, then at your lunch break or whatever it is, you can go in and click regenerate to whatever number of languages you'd like that post to be generated in. Those each become individual, unique social media posts, each of which will draw different eyes. And remember, in my business building methodology, everyone knows that there's a 10-step process that we all engage in that guides us from the point of beginning to the point of successful completion of the project, the task, whatever it is. And as we move our way through this process, we're guiding a candidate closer and closer to his or her appropriate decision, whatever it is. You all know that it's become evident to me that the single most important skill for all small business owners is to develop a habit, a pattern that causes new customers, new clients, new potential members or participants to always be gravitating towards them. Don't you suppose that if you have 350 Facebook friends, That's a small number, right? That's a tiny number. Don't you suppose if you have 350 Facebook friends, that if those 350 Facebook friends suddenly notice that you are posting things in Russian, you're posting things in Egyptian, you're posting things in Hebrew, don't you suppose there's some chance that that would provoke a query? How did you do that? Can I do it too? You see, when I talk about the fact that there is a primary purpose, a secondary, and a third level purpose in every single part of the tool suite, this is an example. I am posting the message specifically to get the eyes of the Greek reader. I've got Greek friends, here, and I lived in Clearwater, Florida for a period of time. And not too far away is a little town called Tarpon Springs. And Tarpon Springs is a Greek community. I have a lot of Greek friends. When I posted that in Greek today, I posted it in Greek, and then I tagged a bunch of my friends or a handful of my friends who speak Greek. And I promise you that within the next few hours, I will have questions and queries from those people. What just happened? My candidate just came towards me. I didn't have to reach out to them and explain to them some new business idea that I've got. No, I didn't do that at all. What I did was I simply posted something in Greek and then I tagged them in it with the anticipation, a very, very realistic anticipation that will cause a query on their part. How did you do that? And just like that, conversation started. Anything that we do that causes our candidate to come towards us and pose a question that we get to respond to instead of us having to provoke the conversation, that is something that will put a multiplier on the success of those who would succeed anyway, and it will eliminate the downside for those who perhaps would not succeed because they remain stuck. Remember, we talk in the presentations about getting people unstuck. The skill to do comes from the doing. When our candidate says, that is cool, why are you posting in Greek? That was cool, why are you posting in Russian? That was cool. You see, that is allowing us to meet the candidate coming towards us as opposed to having us walking towards them. Now, when we do a quick post, what happens? In the case of a quick post, now it's a little bit different. We're not just letting AI do it itself, we're participating. And so now we can select or we can upload an image. And so I go to my photo library. And when I go to my photo library today, by the way, Samantha and I and Bosco went and spent some time in absolutely the most unbelievable fall foliage that probably anybody's ever seen. And there is a picture of that. That's just from a couple of hours ago. And so I selected that. And now what I want to do, if we have any instructions, so target a male audience. So we can tell it what we want to do. We can tell it whatever we want to do. And that's in this quick post. And now we click generate. And it is now going to create for us. You know what? I didn't tell it what to do. Hold on, I'm moving too fast here. This is a target is the male audience. I am going to go back up here and I've got to write a social post. Sorry, I have to get back. Oh no, it's doing it. It's up there. It's scanning forward. I'm nevertheless going to go back and do it a little bit more quickly. Hold on here. Got it a little bit too much. Okay, so now I am going to come up here and I'm going to write a social post. When I ask it to write a social post, and I've kind of overwhelmed it here. I'm sorry. Be patient with me. Okay, come on now. Don't make this hard for me. All right, we're gonna do it over again. We're going to come over here and we're going to write a social post. And the post that we are going to select is going to be the quick post. We need to tell it, is it going to be a personal post or a business post? Because of course we have different styles of communication. We say different things. We use different words. We use different points of emphasis and so on. And I'm now going to upload an image and I'm going to upload the image from my file. Today, as I indicated, we had a great day looking at fall foliage. I'm going to put that picture there. And then I'm going to say it here to target, male audience. So the more information that you give it, the better job it will be able to do for you.
And it's going to make me log myself back in. Everything's not always as easy as it should be. Okay, I'm going to log out and log back in. So we're starting all over. I apologize. That should not be that way, by the way. That's not okay with me. I'm making notes. That'll be fixed. And once again, the reason that I chose to be illustrating this right now, hold on. Is because this is something that we all not just could, but should be doing right now on a daily basis. Remember, the most important thing that most entrepreneurs can do is expand their social media presence. Because why? Because by expanding their social media presence, what does that do? That expands our influence in the future. And so I'm now going to come in here. We're struggling there with that quick post idea, but I'm going to hang in there and see what happens next. So I'm going to upload an image, and we're going to upload an image from my photo library. We're going to upload this one right here. No, that's not the one that I want. We're going to upload this one right here. Click done. Now my image is uploaded, and I'm going to ask it for a male audience. And I'm then going to ask it to generate. Okay. So once again, what you just saw was reflective of the fact that we're doing this on my iPad. When I use Samantha's desktop, that does not happen. This has not yet been optimized for mobile devices. And as you have seen, the mobile application is not yet available. I'm hoping for that this coming week. But what you just saw was reflective of the fact that this is not yet optimized for mobile devices. And obviously that's not okay on a long-term basis, but that's the way it is right now. And so once again, you'll notice that it was a quick post, and the principal difference simply was that I put a picture in there. And you'll notice that I left that as a personal post. And you can see this is a different kind of dialogue in it, isn't it? I called that a personal post. And so it says a picture of Samantha Bosco there, taking a moment to embrace the beauty of nature. Chris Mountner. Now, the truth is, anyone who knows me, they know that that doesn't sound like me. You give it 6 weeks. There's nothing wrong with that. If a person were reading that, I wouldn't think, oh my gosh, what's the person going to think of me? But that's not me. It isn't me. Now, it's not surprising because what? Because I've put almost no personal content into it. My head is so deeply rooted in business right now that it knows me a little bit better from a business perspective than it knows me from a personal perspective. And so what it generates from a business perspective is quite a bit closer to me. Now, here you notice that I've already created 2 profiles. I have one profile that I call Leadership Personified, because if anyone were to ask me, what do I do? Well, one correct answer would be, I've been a network marketing professional for a long time. That's what I do. It's not descriptive at all of who I am and what my primary objectives are. We can say that I'm an entrepreneur and a serial entrepreneur. That's true. What do you do, Randy? I look for people of goodwill and intent who are willing to learn more, develop more skills, refine character attributes. In other words, I look for people of goodwill and intent who are willing to become more and who are willing to do more so they can have more. I then seek to create leadership structures as a result of identifying those people of goodwill and intent. And so here I select my business or product. I select my business, and the business that I will select is, in this case, I'm going to select Leadership Personified. Now I come in here and I click generate, and it will come up with a different type of a message, because now I'm asking it to say something about business. Amidst the majestic mountains and vibrant autumn leaves, I'm reminded of the incredible journey leadership brings. Okay? And so once again, this is pulling information from what I gave it. It can't know something about me that I didn't tell it. The business content is closer to me, but it's still not me. You watch 6 weeks from now. Those of you, if you just, besides scanning your own social media presence, you scan my social media presence, you will see that the AI version of me, it will be delivering content very, very similar to the type of content that I deliver myself. Because why? Because every day I will add more to it, and every day it is learning from me. I'm learning from it, and every day it's learning from me. And so what I would propose to each one of you, given that step number 6 in the 10 steps to getting started correctly, step number 6 is what? It is learning to so live our lives such that our candidate list is perpetually growing in front of us. One of the absolute hallmarks of my success in business and in life is that I've never run out of new great people to grow associations with. I have found a pattern of living that results in me always having access to more and more people.
and deeper and broader relationships. It doesn't just enhance my business, it enhances my life experience. That is not an activity, that is a skill. But what we can do is engage in activities which, when steadily and consistently engaged upon over a period of time, then Cicero said, what the skill to do comes from the doing. And so it is an activity to identify an immediate handful of candidates with whom we can interact. It is a skill to learn to so live our lives such that our candidate list is constantly moving towards us as opposed to us moving towards them. If we're moving towards our candidate, you can count on them backing up. If we have some part of our mechanism that causes our candidate to meet us in the middle, then they'll be walking towards us as we're walking towards them, a dramatic difference in the way that a message is received. And so now ask yourself, don't let me plant the seed in your mind, you ask yourself, if you were to begin on a daily basis, starting today, not drowning the cyberspace with stuff, but if you were to do 3 posts per day, all the same posts, but one in English and 2 in other languages, and that became a steady routine. And if you were to then about once every 3 or 4 days toggle back and forth between personal posts and business posts. And if similarly, once every 3 or 4 days, you were to toggle between the instant post, the quick post, and then, by the way, let me show you exactly what I would do with this. So now we have created this. Okay, so this has been created. This is the text that was created. And having received the text, now what do we do? I click here and I view download. And now that I've downloaded that, the image has been downloaded. I didn't have to do that, but I did. Now, what I must do is, and this doesn't work worth beans on my iPad. If I was on the desktop, this would be, there we go, it's letting me copy it. So now all I do is I copy. And once I have copied, then I come into my Facebook page. When I arrive at my Facebook page, then what do? I paste. And the next thing I do is I come back over here. Now, once again, this is because this is not yet, this is not mobile optimized. And so I had to go to that extra space. When this is mobile optimized, I won't have to do that. Then I come here, I post the picture. And if I choose to, I can, of course, tag people. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, probably all of you don't understand social media better than me. But if I don't tag anyone, I will get not very many eyes upon it. And we all know that Facebook and all the others, they have their algorithms. If you want to get the maximum number of eyes on it, then tag a few people. Don't have it always be the same people, and don't tag a lot. And so if I was to tag, boom, 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 if I was to tag like 5 or 6 people, and notice I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to who it is that I'm tagging. Now, if I tag those 5 or 6 people and I post it, the result is that will get about 5 times as many eyes as will be on it as if I had not done that. And so now I have created this post. Now, this post came from what? This one came from not the instant post, but from the quick post. Right? That's what that was. We come down here, and I'll get back over here to Randy. So I'll just sort through all the stuff. When we get back over here to Randy, here we see the quick post as opposed to the instant post. Here we see, well, you can't read it, but this is the instant post. I'm sorry, there's not the instant post. This was the deeper dive post. Let me show you that one. This is the one that I will use most. Now, I do believe that for people who are extremely, extremely busy, and there are many, proper utilization of the instant post is a great idea because literally no time. You can log in last night, you can leave it logged in this morning, you wake up, you push instant post, and then at lunchtime, you go in and you simply click on that instant post. You come down here and you say, yeah, but I want that to be in all these different languages. And so now we click on change language. Once again, I'm struggling because this silly thing is not on a, come on, because it is not on a desktop. There we go. Change language. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put this one in German. When I put it in German, I simply push recreate. And now, and this, by the way, was leadership content, therefore content appropriate for almost all audiences. And now what would I do with that? Now I copy and I paste this leadership personified, and I've already got the picture copied, as you know. So I copy and I paste leadership personified. And then at my lunch break, what do? I do a quick scan and I go to chat groups in Germany that are discussing AI. I go to chat groups in Germany that are discussing direct selling, network marketing. I go to chat groups in Germany that are discussing home-based business, and then click, 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 post that same thing in 5 or 6 different settings. And by the way, I've been doing this for quite some period of time. It's just been a lot more time consuming than doing it this way. And by doing it this way, it literally took no thought. Now, for me, I'm a communicator. That's what I am. I am a communicator. If you cut it to the core, um, everything that I know would be of not much value if I weren't able to express it. And what I know is probably worth 10 times as much value because of my power of expression. I know that. And so for me, writing the message is not burdensome. But this is the truth. And when I say this, we all have different skills, we have different talents, we have different strengths. For some, the ability of the AI itself to write the post, it will write a better post than the vast majority of just everyday people. And I have to stop myself because pride and ego, it raises its ugly head all the time. What did you just hear me say? I can write a fine post because I'm Randy. I'm all that. Well, guess what? The result of me being all that is that I have about 5% as many social media friends, fans, and followers as I should have. And so, just like everybody else, what I need to do is calm my ego, tamp it down, and let this process do for me that which I cannot do for myself, and to not allow myself to get back in the way. Notice I said to get back in the way. This is giving us all a chance to get out of the way. If we had limited writing skills, we can get out of the way because AI takes care of that. If we had limited persuasion skills, we can get out of the way and AI takes care of that. Now we come down here to what is more like me. What is more like me is to actually deliver content. What is not like me is to deliver bullet points, fast, fun things, things that people laugh at, smile at. That's somebody else's realm. It's not my realm. My realm is principally to deliver deep, meaningful, thought-provoking content that has mattered in my life and that I think can matter in somebody else's. And so in that case, what would I do? And let's assume for a moment that I do not have that power of expression. And so now I need AI to do it for me. And so what do I want the post to be about? My journey from the abyss of addiction to the bright lights of personal and business success. Okay, now, even that, it's not just everyone for whom that would immediately roll off of their tongue. This is because I am a practiced communicator for years. But now I can let AI do a better job than me. See, I can describe that bullet point. I can tell it what I want it to know. But then I can let AI describe it in a way that has been proven to provoke more comments, more likes, and so on. I have to remind myself of this. My way has resulted in me having 5,000 Facebook friends, 10,000 Facebook followers, about 10,000 or 20,000 now um, fans or connects or whatever they are on my Facebook business page, and 25,000 LinkedIn friends, that context. That's what it's resulted in. That's pathetic. I've lived a life that is a lot bigger than that. And so I have to be willing to say, no, Randy, stop yourself. What you've always done has not produced the outcome you want. Everything that I know got me where I am. If I want to go someplace else, then I've got to know something I didn't know before. So I need to find out what AI has to say. And then I need to fight the temptation to say, well, that doesn't sound like me. And I need to instead say, well, maybe I need to sound like that. See, that's the difference. That doesn't sound like me. Criticizing that to maybe I need to sound more like that so that more people respond positively to my message. Get out of your way, Randy. Get out of your way, whomever you are. Now, I've asked this to produce it for me first in English so that we can see what it says. And I'm hoping, and I'm somewhat guessing that probably quite a few of you folks have been doing this same thing over the course of the last couple of days. But here's the truth. I've been perusing quite a few of your social media profiles, and I've not seen text being written in other languages. And I haven't seen some of the indicators that would suggest to me that you have put this process to work for you already. And so here, at Leadership Personified, we believe that transformation is not just possible, it's inevitable when approached with integrity, with determination, and the right strategies. Today, I want to share my personal journey from the depths of addiction to achieving personal and business success. This narrative is not only a testament to resilience, but also an embodiment of leadership personified philosophy, transforming individual potential into performance. Through this story, I aim to inspire hope and provide insight into the process of overcoming significant challenges. The first step in my journey was undeniably the most difficult, acknowledging the problem addiction had stealthily eroded not only my health, but also my self-worth. Folks, that's pretty good. I mean, that is pretty darn good. The fact is that I don't find fault with any of that. It knows me. How does it know me? Because that part of my life's experience is very, very personal to me. And I have taught it a little bit more about that part of me than anything else. Now, that didn't take any time, did it? What I had to write was my journey from the abyss of addiction to the bright lights of personal and business success. That's what I wrote. And then the LEV AI Solution took that simple statement and it made a pretty darn good 2 paragraphs out of it. I mean, there's nothing in those 2 paragraphs that I would not like everyone to see. And so now I come back over here and what do I want to do? Well, I kind of like that. And so I would like that to be something that I could post for my German friends, for my Spanish friends. And when I'm doing it, what am I doing? The role of a leader is to do what? The role of a leader is to not tell other people, but show other people the series of activities that are required for success. And when I say the role of a leader, there's a lot of different kinds of leaders. The leadership that I describe is, I call it benevolent leadership, that being leadership that others would sign up for. There are dictators in the world who are leaders, but they're certainly not benevolent leaders. Some of the most horrible atrocities thrust upon humankind in the history of the world has been fomented by leaders. They were leaders, but they weren't benevolent leaders. And so what I seek to create is a leadership foundation that is completely populated with benevolent leaders with a variety of different life's experiences, which can be rounded into one to create opportunities for others to learn, grow, develop, and become a little bit more than they might otherwise become. There is absolutely no question that the utilization of this suite of tools will multiply the effectiveness of my message because it will multiply the reach of my message by thousands of times, maybe hundreds of thousands of times, and perhaps millions of times. Because why? Because literally and truly, we are eliminating the barriers of time. We're eliminating the barriers of language, of culture, and of space. It's absolutely remarkable. Now, what you're seeing today is just a single part of the overall LEV AI solution, that being how to utilize its capacity in creating the social media post for us. There's so much more to it. My absolute belief is that and by the way, I completely acknowledge bumps in the road. Of course. There's a sum total of 0 startups who their first 3 days had everything go right. There's none of those for whom that has happened. I think the fact that we've now gone to over 90% of credit cards being attempted, being successfully processed is incredible. I don't think that the company is right when they're telling me that there's 126 accounts. I think it's twice that. It might be 3 times that are problematic. But if out of 42,000, we have 500 accounts that are problematic and are having difficulty logging in and so on, I think that's pretty manageable. By the way, I encourage you all every single time to click the compliance check. Just click it, because obviously we know that there is nothing stated in that document that is going to be problematic. But remember, when I've talked about the fact that I heard some people tell me that they believed that AI was going to stymie leadership development because people would become dependent upon it as opposed to emerging. No, folks. First of all, realize that as one who struggled through drug addiction and alcoholism for a long time, the idea of being dependent upon anything is to me abhorrent, literally abhorrent. I don't mind being reliant upon something. You see, I was dependent upon drugs and alcohol. I had to have them or I couldn't survive the next day. But I'm reliant upon the 12 steps of recovery that are found in Alcoholics Anonymous. Reliance upon something good is a tremendous attribute, and it's an expression of humility, which is a part of every significant leader that I've ever interacted with. Dependence upon anything is a net negative, period. We must never be dependent, but it's okay to be reliant. And if we rely upon this suite of tools for a period of time, it grows leadership. Why? Because don't you suppose that when I ask it to write that post for me, that I'm learning when I read it? Am I not becoming more capable myself? Remember, the illustration is that I will use AI as a crutch to help me overcome temporary injury or temporary disability. So I have a temporary disability to write increasing, engaging posts that get more likes that cause my social media presence to go up and therefore increase my value. That is a temporary disability, which is being overcome on a daily basis, on a multiple time each day basis right now, as I write what I would write, or I write the concept, and then I see what LEV AI writes, and I compare it to what I would write. And then I say, why is it that this message would get 10 times as many likes as my message? And not try to argue that, oh no, my message is better. Hey, the market tells us what's better. The market says what's better. And what's the market in this case? It's the number of likes, it's the number of comments, it's the number of somebody contacting us and saying, where do you want? What can we do next together? And so here we see, not surprising, it is low risk. Now, having identified that risk, then I can accept the risk and continue, or I can update the post to make it become a lower risk. And so now I generate again. And when I generate again, having given it the approval, the authority to update, now it will go in and take out whatever made it have any risk at all, and it will put it right dead down the center line. I know quite a few people who today are in a bad spot because they went afoul of compliance, because they inadvertently, I don't have friends who intentionally break the law and do things wrong, but who inadvertently got outside of the rules of propriety of home-based business or of online business, and they got themselves in trouble. I think the idea of having that compliance check allowing us to completely eliminate all risk, I think that's worth a whole bunch. Okay, so now I like this. So what do? I come back down here. I select whatever languages I'm interested in. And now I select German, I select France. Now, what if, on the other hand, I'm not concerned so much about language, but I'm concerned instead with other things. So let's just look at this. From the abyss to achievement, a journey of redemption and success. The path from addiction to personal and business triumph is often fraught with challenges that test the very core of one's resilience. And this is another paragraph, you see. This is not the same paragraph that we read before. And so if when you read the paragraph, if you don't love it, ask it to generate another paragraph. And in this case, what did it do? It regenerated the paragraph and it eliminated whatever it found as being potentially risky. And so now I can review that. Do I like that one? Yes, I like it. But wait a minute, maybe there's some other things that I would like. I want this thing to be a little bit more, I want it to be a little more humorous. Okay? That's not my thing, but we want it to be a little more humorous. And so let's see what it has to say about that. The point is that everything that it proposes for us will be more likely to get social media engagement than what we would have written ourselves. That's the truth. And so now, from the abyss to achievement, a comedic journey of redemption and success. Hey there, fellow wanderers on the winding road of life. Ever tried juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle backwards? Guys, this is pretty good, isn't it? I mean, this is pretty darn good. No, well, let me introduce you to my favorite circus act, addiction. The path from addiction to personal and business triumph is often filled with potholes that test your ability to juggle life's chaos. My journey has been no exception, but here I am, ready to laugh about it and to share how I went from uh-oh to way to go. Step one on this roller coaster ride, realizing that my life had turned into an episode of a sitcom where the protagonist, that's me, couldn't stop dropping the ball. And on we go. Folks, this is pretty darn good, isn't it? And remember what it pulled it from. It pulled that from a single sentence, my journey from the abyss of addiction to the bright lights of personal and business success. I am, as every day that goes by, and I see with greater clarity how this makes me better. That's the key. It is not replacing me. This makes me better. And so what I would like to encourage all of you, I see we're already 45 minutes into our hour discussion. I want to talk a little bit about placement. What I would encourage all of you to do for the next, let's call it 24 hours until our next training session, I would encourage each of you to focus with me on this one single component, that being writing social media posts. Right? And the way that one does it is how? One simply logs into your tool suite. Having logged into your tool suite, then all we do is come over. Oops, I'm sorry. All we do, get out of there. Why can't I make that move? Get over there. Get over there. Okay. All we do is come over here. It says write a social post. We click on it. And then it will immediately, when we write, get out of that. we click write a social post, and now we get to choose instant post. If I were you, I would begin right now today. I would do an instant post. Now, the only way you can do an instant post if you've already fed some information into your LEV AI solution. If you've given it no information, it has absolutely no clue where to begin. So you have to give it some information. And then every day, I would modify and expand the information a little bit, such that a few days from now, when you click an instant post, you look at it, you say, that's what I would have said. That's the context, or that's the message I would have delivered, but it's better. Keep modifying your inputs until what it is producing at the push of a button is better than what you can do by sitting down, thinking about it, erasing it, crossing it off, doing it again. I would suggest that you do 1 or 2 quick posts every day. You don't have to actually post them, but take them all the way through to the end, where you've got them on the various social media pages and you're ready to click post, go all the way to the end. And then I would also suggest that you don't let it be. Don't let it be that 3 or 4 days go by and you've not done 4 or 5 of each of these, because you're going to have team members starting next week asking you to teach them how to do what you don't know how to do right now. And the way for you to learn how to do it is, of course, to watch these presentations, these trainings, but far more appropriately and far more importantly, in my estimation, is for you to begin utilizing the process. Okay. Folks, I will try to get more efficient in my utilization of time. That's a 45-minute conversation about something that probably most people could have got done in a fraction of that time. But these are really important concepts, folks. They're like really, really important concepts. We have literally at our fingertips right now, we have the chance to put a great, big, huge 5 times, 10 times, 20 times X. By the way, I see my friend Bev is here. And so, Bev, you might have noticed, I don't know if you saw, but I actually posted something in Hungarian earlier today. Why? Because Bev's got 400 or 500 people in Hungary. And it was kind of a tip of my hat to Bev. At least I think I did. I had it created, but then I actually took it to the point of post. But, so I think of my friend Bev. And Bev, it was a lightning bolt because she speaks English. And yet she still managed to shake loose some people in Hungary. But Bev, you know what? You've got a group in Hungary right now. If I were you, you know what I'd be doing? I would be creating some posts in Czech, and I'd be creating some posts. And I just take a look at the markets that Hungary borders that are close around, and I would be creating a few posts in Slovakia, and I'd be creating a few posts in German and in Russian, and I would be going to those same social media boards because, as you've already found out, there is no limitation. You can be a solopreneur living here in Wyoming, in the mountains of Utah, and you can develop a business literally all over the world. You proved you could do it even without AI. With AI, you can do it a whole lot better. Okay, now the question has been raised and has been asked quite a few times as recently as today about what do I think is the right thing to do from a placement standpoint. And it's become fairly clear to me. Check back with me in a few weeks when we begin receiving our first commission checks. It'll become more clear, I'm sure. So here is the deal. Remember that we start out with an acquisition bonus. Acquisition bonus. How does the acquisition bonus work? If you are the one who enrolls the person, you enroll the person, then you are going to get $30 no matter what. If you enroll that person and you get that $30 and you hold them on generation 1, then you will get both this $30 and you will get the 20% that is paid on generation 1. And so it is this 30 plus this 20 that equals that 50. If you've heard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs wide is what it takes to max out the depth in the comp plan, then there may well be a legitimate reason to take this new person that you have enrolled, and instead of placing them on your front line, maybe you are seeking to build 5 legs of substance. Understand that when you enroll a person and you place it here instead of here, that 20% is paid to the one for whom they are first generation. And so if you want that 20%, you hold people on Gen 1. If you enroll anyone and place them down line in the unilevel, then you are going to be paid 4%. And so what I always invite people to do is listen to what the compensation plan is telling you. And so if you look at that fact that if you hold a person on your first generation, that the company will pay you 20%, but if you place them somewhere deeper in your organization, the company will pay you 4%. What is the compensation plan telling you? The compensation plan is telling you the company would like you to have more than 5 legs. Now, that doesn't mean they want you to have more than 5 building in depth, but the company wants you to have more than 5 on Gen 1. That's what the compensation plan says. Don't fight the compensation plan. Do what it says. So I was speaking to not speaking, but trading messages with a known leader, Lila, a known leader in our industry and now in our company, asking me what is the correct strategy in this compensation plan. And she said, I want to maximize the compensation plan. That's different things for different people. If you want to get the very most amount of volume and the most amount of income out of the smallest amount of volume, then the way to do that is what? Sold everything on the first line. You want the most amount of income on the smallest amount of volume, then get paid 20% income. That would imply that every single person that you enroll should always be held on Gen 1. That's what that would imply. You say, but wait a minute, Randy, I also want leadership groups. I don't just want customers. I want other people who are building. I want people who are building. Okay. My suggestion is this. We know that in order to get paid the maximum comp plan, and what is that? Here we get paid 20%, and then here it goes 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations of 4. Okay? If you would like to maximize the compensation plan, then one has to consider a little bit other people's experience. It may very well be that it is smart to put someone down line of another because maybe that incents this person to act. And 4% of something is a lot better than 20% of nothing. If a person's up here on Gen 1 and they're doing nothing, they're not incented, they're not seeing any activity down line of them. There's nothing that makes them get up in the morning and say, my gosh, I've got to go to work so I can get paid on that volume. And so I do think that there's logic in identifying those who want to build in depth. Anyone who wants to build in depth, I think, should be put initially into not 5, but 6 legs. You say, why 6, Randy? It doesn't say anything in the comp plan about 6 anyplace. Have any of you ever been involved in a business and had a leg fall apart? I have. I think it's a very risky business if you only have the number of legs that the compensation plan requires. And so I would consider the comp plan minimum to be 6 wide. Just the truth. Sometimes entire legs disappear for reasons that have nothing to do with the company, the comp plan, the business. Somebody gets a divorce and the couple splits up and they fight over everything and it destroys the business. Things like that happen. Sometimes, all kinds of things happen that we can't anticipate, that we can't forecast. I think it would be a very risky business to only have 5 legs wide. I think that'd be very risky. And as I've aged, I've become much, much, much more risk averse. And so in our particular case, Samantha and I each have an account. Now, I'm not telling you to all go and get your own account. I will tell you that, in fact, that will cost you money, not make you money, unless you have the capacity and desire and willingness to work to properly populate 2 accounts. So in my account, I have 8 active legs. I have 8 legs that I believe will become substantial, all 8 of them. 8 legs where there are people building in depth. In Samantha's account, we have 8 legs. And so what I'm counseling everyone, literally everyone, if you're planning on living at the top of the comp plan, do not accept the risk of only having 5 legs wide. What if one of them goes away? And let's think of it either way. Instead of thinking about the negativity of something going away, is there any reason why, if we have the horsepower, that means we have the existing circle of influence, or we're about to have the horsepower because of LEV AI to have a limitless ability to enroll? And that, by the way, is what can happen. There will be people who learn how to properly leverage this company's product offerings, who then have a literally limitless ability to enroll because they no longer have the scarcity of candidates. If one has an abundance of candidates, that results in one having increasing opportunities to deliver the message, which results in more skill, more verbal ability, and suddenly that which was difficult becomes easier. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have in one of our accounts, Samantha and I, 9 accounts. And in the other one, we have 8 accounts, 8 legs wide, excuse me. Well, would you rather earn 20% on 8 or 20% on 9? And if on generation 1, the way that it typically plays out, and we don't know yet how this is going to play out. We don't. Anyone who says they do, they don't. We don't know how it's going to play out. But my history has been this, that if I have 10 on Gen 1, that in a identifiable period of time, and I'll tell you the period of time, it'll scare you to death, then I'll come back and tell you why not to worry about it. My experience has been that if I have 10 on Gen 1, that 2 years later, I have 20 on Gen 2. You say 2 years already, I got to make money next week. Hang in there with me. My experience then is that if I have 20 on Gen 2, that 2 years later, there are 40 on Gen 3. That if I have 40 on Gen 3, 2 years later, there are 80 on Gen 4. And this then becomes 160, and this becomes 320, and this becomes 640, and this becomes 1,280, and this becomes 2,560. And this then would become this block of volume through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Okay. So now we take 1280 plus 640 plus 320 plus 160 plus 80 plus 40 plus 20 plus 10. And we times that by what? These 10 by 20%. Well, let's just call it what it is. These 10 by $20 if they are pro packs, and these 1,280 times $4 if they are pro packs, and every one of these all the way down times $4. Well, would you rather have this occurring in a 6-leg format, or would you rather have that occurring in a 9 or a 10-leg format? And so I will tell you that my history in the direct selling industry, I first got involved in a company called Nu Skin, and I was required to have 15 legs wide. If you're going to be a Hawaiian Blue Diamond, you got to have 15 legs wide. And so, okay, well, if that's what the requirement is, then I was well on the way to that track when Nu Skin was sued by the FTC, and I just didn't have the staying power to stick around and wait for them. And so I got involved with a company called Direct Sell Showcase. That comp plan demanded that I have 10 wide. My next participation was on the corporate side at Sunrider, and I was teaching people how they had to have 16 wide. That's the way that it was. That's what I'm rooted in. I know how to do that, and I can teach you how to do that if that's what you want to do. This compensation plan will reward people in an absolute fascinating fashion with only 5 legs wide, but why limit yourself to that? Before the dust settles, before it all settles, as you see, I've started one of I've got my account, Samantha's account. I've started one of them with 9 legs. I've started the other with 8 legs. Before the dust all settles, we will have 15 legs in my account and 15 legs in Samantha's account. Then, separate from that, and that why? Because what I want is this leveraged income, right? This is leveraging AI, and one gets leveraged income when we're having this doubling on each generation. And so I want to fully participate in the leveraged aspects of a direct selling compensation plan. And I will not limit myself to that leverage aspect being only 5 wide. There's no reason for that if one has a literally limitless availability of candidates. And if you learn how to leverage AI, you will in fact have a limitless number of candidates. And so what I fully intend to do is to populate 2 separate accounts, mine and Samantha's, ultimately with 15 wide. And my objective, believe it or not, it'll bounce off your brain. My objective is to have 3,000 personally enrolled customers. 3,000 personally enrolled customers, Randy. Folks, my eyes are open wide. They are open completely wide. Today, there are 8 billion people on planet Earth. Only 3.5% of them are yet incorporating AI into their business worlds or their personal lives. There are 7.5 billion people who will be required. It is a global mandate. My objective is very simple, and I will not stop until I prove to myself and therefore to others that it can be done. We'll have 3,000 customer accounts in Samantha's account. Why? Well, mine's the one that's upline of hers, and she'll get paid 20% on that, and I'll get paid 4%. What are your goals? What are your objectives? Do you have targets? See, I just disclosed to you some of my targets, didn't I? It's one of the keys to my success. If you have a target, you just might hit it. If you don't have a target, where's the arrow going to fly? And so I just told you I have a target. First target, 15 legs wide on my account. Second target, 15 legs wide on Samantha's account. Third target, 3,000 customer accounts on Samantha's. Folks, let's cast the ball down the road a little bit. You're going to have an entire business full of people who are doing what? Who are either building width or they are building depth. If they are building depth, they are building out of your payout. If they are building width, they are building in your payout. So you decide which makes the most sense. And so, Lila, specifically in answer to your question, I believe that one should be willing to aggressively place in depth until you have 5 legs that are started. So until I had 5 legs in my account that were started, and I knew there was productivity and duplication going on in multiple generations of depth, clear to the bottom of the envelope of payout. I did not start the 6th, 7th, and 8th, or the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. I will not start the 8th through 15th, nor will I start the 9th through 15th until such time as the 6th, 7th, and 8th, or 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th each have progressions that have taken them to the bottom of the unilevel window. When we get to the bottom of the unilevel window, that is extended by what? That is extended by the infinity payout. And of course, we know that in this company, unique to this company, to my knowledge, the matching bonus is predicated on what? Matching bonus is predicated on unilevel payouts. And so now I can talk to any of you, but I'll ask Lila this question. Lila, if your matching bonus is going to be based on a unilevel, is it important to you that you hold more volume in payout than less volume? Yes. Does that then make it important that you have more than 5 legs, which is what the comp plan requires to get there? Yes. For a player like you, for a real player. and for any of you that I'm speaking to, I mean, Lila happens to be a real significant leader. It depends on what your goals and objectives are, and we also have to measure those goals and objectives to who we are and to the disciplines that we have. If we don't have a significant amount of discipline, then I'll tell you what will occur. Income satiety will rear its head a long time before a lot of these targets are hit. In fact, I can tell you that if you're working purely and simply for money, then in all likelihood, you will stop a long time before anything that I've described to you here, because you'll be making a whole lot more money than is necessary to pay anybody's bills. And so that tells you that in my own case, do I need money? Of course I need money. Do I want to make money? Of course I want to make money. It's not what it's about for me, though. I'm going to figure out a way to pay the bills. I always have. Clearly, this doesn't. No, it's about having the greatest success of my life. That's what drives me. Having the income get a little bit bigger when it's already more than enough, that doesn't drive me. Having more money in the bank, if I already have enough, that doesn't drive me. But what does drive me is this thought. I have worked my entire life to become, what is that? This second in time, I can say with confidence, at this second in time, I am the single best version of me that I've ever been. But my results are not the best they've ever been. And so I am driven to cause this single best version of me that I've ever been to have the greatest results that I've ever had. What I've been lacking was the right project, such that the greatest version of me, not knowing what your own life's experiences have been, I can tell you that I've had some profound opportunities in my life. If this is in fact my most profound opportunity, there's a really good chance it's your most profound as well. Okay, so in final, Lila, if I were you, I would not be placing people in depth in any of these legs lower than about your fourth generation. I think there does make some sense to place people down through about generation 4 until you've got legs started that are running through the bottom of the unilevel. So you're starting to access the infinity payout. And I would then do it in segments of 5. Once you've got 5 legs that are running, I would go and start 5 more legs and get them to run. Once you've got those 5 done, I'd go and start 5 more. And that is my strategy on 5, 10, 15 on my account, 5, 10, 15 on Samantha's account. And then it is to go indefinitely wide. I mean, to no limitation. 7.5 billion people are going to be required by society to adopt AI, and I'm going to figure out a way to get 3,000 of those as personal customers, because I want that 3,000 times $100 times 20% to be a steady, consistent weekly payout if nobody ever joins my business again. Okay, that was probably a long, boring diatribe about all those things that are important to me. I hope it was beneficial to each of you. I'm doing a business presentation tonight again at 9 o'clock. I encourage you to be there. Tomorrow, I will post tonight. I'm not sure what time it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll do another one of these segments with one more. And by the way, tomorrow, I'll be able to illustrate more progress. Today, I illustrated things that work. And tomorrow, I'm going to illustrate more things that work. And it's only going to be a few days from now that I'll be introducing to you my digital clone and showing you how that can work in your life and how it can work in mine. Everybody, future's bright. So is the present of those who make it so. Have the best day yet. I'll see you along the way. Bye-bye.